Today we're going to take a look and do a modification to this RoseCraft Blades Aeris Rex. This is a pretty nice looking knife. It has marbled carbon fiber covers and copper bolsters. It is a little bit on the weighty side. One of the issues with this knife is the pocket clip is not super sturdy. You can see how that moves. I wish they would have used a little heavier gauge steel for the clip. It's not bad, it's not a deal breaker, but that is something that does need to be improved on the knife. It does have a harpoon shaped blade, and from the best I can figure, it actually works pretty good. If you hold the knife in a pinch grip and you put your finger here to do some detailed cutting, you have pretty good control over the blade and you have a nice spot for your finger. So other than that, I don't see much use for it. I would kind of prefer if this area was filled in. I don't mind the looks of it, but to me it's just a little bit odd. But it is functional if you use it like that and you use it as a spot for your finger. Now the one problem that this knife had was right in here. This was not low enough. When the knife was open, it was really hard to get to the liner lock to release it. So I did take it down. Now you can see the liner lock in here. Before they were about even with each other. That was why I was having to get my finger in kind of on a funny angle so I can get my thumbnail down in there and push it over. Now I can just place my thumb right here and push and close it. It works really nice now. So I took a Dremel tool and worked this down and then sanded it. I went up to 400 grit. A 400 grit piece of sandpaper. And if I would have had a piece of 600 laying around, I would have gone up to 600, and that would have been pretty good. You could still see some fine little scratches in here, but overall that looks pretty good. And then after that, I use a Dremel tool with the polishing wheel and some compound. So it still has to get a patina on it like the rest of it has. It's a little bit shiny, so it's going to look a little bit odd right now, but once the coloration changes and it gets darker like the rest of the bolster, it should look pretty good. Another thing I want to try is you can see the steel in here is now silver instead of black where I ground it down. So I'd like to try using some gun black on that steel and see if I can get some color back in there. The steel on this is RPM 9, and so far it has proven to be pretty good. I want to do a cut test comparing this to the RoseCraft Mohawk, which is another really good knife in a budget range, but it has D2 steel. I want to compare the D2 against this RPM 9. The RPM 9 is a lower end stainless steel. It seems to be better than 420 HC. Maybe not quite as good as CPM 154. VG10 level, maybe just slightly below that. So I want to do a cut test and let's see exactly how this compares with D2, which is a known steel. But either way, we have a good stainless that seems to be pretty tough. It does hold a reasonable edge. It's not going to go dull on you in a day. You're going to be able to get a lot of work done with this thing. So it's a good knife, and it comes in at a good price range. You get a knife like this with these marble carbon fiber and copper and a decent stainless for 80 bucks. They make a version without the carbon fiber scales. I believe it's micarta scales, and that comes in about $15 cheaper or so. So the knife is a good value. It's very comfortable in the hand. Give you a nice palm swell. It's got a long enough handle. It should fit just about anybody comfortably, and I found that I am able to choke up on it. Now this to me is not a finger choil. This is a sharpening choil. If I go to put my finger in here, you can see what's going to happen with that point right there. Now I could, if I'm careful, put my finger sideways, get in here and pull back and pinch and be able to get away with it. But you can see that point is still pretty close. I don't like using the knife like that, but I have no problem choking up on it like this. You don't have to squeeze tight with your finger against that flipper. You just bend it over and you hold the scale on the other side. So that's no problem at all doing a hammer grip like that, because your force is down. So your force is down. It's not into that flipper. You don't need you don't even need to close that finger around it. You could run a knife just like that and still do a good job. So if you hold it properly, that won't bother you to use it in that kind of a grip and get choked up on a knife. So stick around for the footage at the end and you'll see some of the work that I did on the knife. I did a little bit more finishing work on here beyond what you'll see recorded in the video. But one more close look at the mod. You'll see it looks quite good. And now you can see that liner on the other side. So if you get one of these things, that is a modification that I would strongly consider doing. The Aeris Rex is a great knife, but it does have a problem. It's really hard to access the liner lock to release the knife. There's not much of a cutout there. By contrast, if you look at this knife, you have a nice cutout and it's very easy to close.